everyone, to the first race of the JRASCR Coca Cola COT Series as we prepare for 42 cars to take to this 2011 season. Here at Daytona is where it all starts, the Daytona 500. And before we give you the starting lineup, I just want to say that we ended up having 46 people sign up for this, and we only have space for 42. Therefore, 4 people had to be eliminated, so what we did was we took all the names, put them into a hat, and drew out 4 names. Those drivers are not in the series. I'm sorry about that. One of them is Joshua Courier. Also, the 3 females. I'm not sure how this happened, but the 3 females that were scheduled to run this series, Catherine Bowman, Lisa Shears, and Angel D'Souza, they are out of the series as well. So now we do have a 42-car field for the rest of the season. The only reason that I had to do that is because we are having NASCAR Racing 2003, the game itself, doing the point standings for this series, and it can't do it for 46 cars. So we get set for the Daytona 500 to be run here today. Ralph Green on the pole for today's race. To the outside of him in row 1 will be Martin Zakala. Then behind them you've got Matt LaFleur in the 8 and Connor Breton in the 11. They make up row 2, and here's the rest of the starting lineup. 40 laps of racing here today at this 2.5-mile high-banked super speedway known as Daytona International Speedway as we prepare for what should be an exciting race and hopefully the start to an exciting 2011 Coca Cola COT Series season. 42 cars, all trying to win the Daytona 500 here today. Some drivers, I have absolutely no clue what their racing style is. I've never had the opportunity to observe them. Some of them are coming back after a long time. I'm now getting reacquainted with them. Luke Marcheski's one of those. And some of them I've known for a long time, known their racing style. They've been in my series. But green flag is in the air. Ralph Green gets us ready for the Daytona 500. 40 laps of racing here today. Here we go. Cars fanning out behind them already, 3 wide, as it looks like Matt LaFleur and his teammate Corey Williams are thinking about the lead, and here they go. DEI together, and they're going to the front. Teammates working together, but now looks like Logan Wilson's going to offer the drafting help to Corey Williams down low. And Corey Williams now goes to the point. Who's going to lead lap 1 here at Daytona? Oh, they get together. Oh, the leader spins, and there goes Logan Wilson around. And the big one happens. Oh, they're wrecking everywhere. Oh, my goodness. There's Jamie Watson. There's Matt Berg. There's McLeod. Zakala. Oh, Lambert. Janes. Kahutek looks like he's got some damage. Oh, bad damage for Michael Harvey. Filter may have some damage. That's Alex Filter. There's his brother, Sam. He may have some damage. There is some damage to Jamie Watson. Matt Edwards also, or Mark Edwards with damage. There's Patrick Scroggins, Philip Stiller, Lambert, Patrick Murphy's on pit road, and it looks like it's DEI still out in front here with Corey Williams, Wes McCall, then Ralph Green, Matt LaFleur, and Connor Breton, but let's take a look and see why we're under the caution flag. I think there were 2 wrecks that occurred, one in turn 3 and one in turn 4. Well, this was 2 separate wrecks, but they all seem to originate from the same place. Let's take a look. We're looking at Stephen Dillon, Philip Stiller there. They make some contact there, also with the 19 car of Harley LeVake. Martin Zakala gets a little of that as well. And then here they come up the racetrack. And you see Stephen Dillon there. Arnold Columbia gets a little bit of that. Ken Johnson up ahead. Martin Zakala, you see getting turned there is Ken Murphy. Robert Band got a little bit of it. So did Jordan Hester. So did Noel Stiller. Alex Filter. Harvey rear-ended. I believe that was Todd Nathan down there, and that's where he got his damage from. Sam Filter is sideways. Doug Shears may have some damage. Patrick Scroggins got in it. Christian James was in it. Zach Filter, I think, made it by on the outside. But that was the first wreck. Now let's see what happened with the second wreck that was a little bit further up that I think involved drivers such as maybe the 84 car of Geoff Kahutek was involved in the second incident. We'll see. And here it was. It was actually Jamie Watson and Matt Berg getting together right there. They go up and Watson gets into his Penske teammate, Timmy Pacioli, and they're slamming on the brakes is the 22 of Matt Nathan. And I don't know if anybody else comes into this or not. We'll see. They try and turn it around. Oh, sorry that my thing's moving choppy here. But here comes everybody else in. There's Jacob Lawler. Oh, yeah, Lawler nails the 22. There's McLeod. We saw him when the incident occurred involved. Lawler's got some pretty bad damage. And then here comes the 14, hits Watson. Then he comes up the racetrack, and there's Christian James. Oh, crunches up the hood of the monster Ford. And then everybody else tries making it by, but that was a pretty bad damage for the 14 car, the back of the 14 of Joseph Lambert. And that's why we're under the caution flag here today on lap 1 of 40. Well, after that, here's a look at the cars that are out. If you look on the right side of your screen, you'll see in 33rd is the 19 car of Harley LeVake. He is out. 34th finishing will be Stephen Dillon. Finishing in 35th will be Philip Stiller. Finishing 36th will be Michael Harvey. 37th will go to Mark Edwards. 38th will go to Joseph Lambert. 39th is going to go to Patrick Murphy. 40th is going to go to Christian James. 41st to James McLeod. And 42nd will go to Jacob Lawler, as those cars are out of the race. Now we'll take and show you what the lineup is. We should get the signal 1 lap to go when we come down here to the stripe this time. So while that's happening, let's show you what it looks like up front. Matt LaFleur is the leader. He did cross the line as the leader after pit stops and everything. I believe everybody came down pit road. So this is the way it shakes up now, with LaFleur as the leader. Connor Breton is second. And third is Corey Williams. Fourth is Wes McCall. If you notice, DEI is up in the top 4 with 3 of its race cars. Then we got Ralph Green. He's in 5th. 6th position is Jeff Brakeman. 7th is Logan Wilson. 8th is Luke Marcheski. 9th is Matthew Rodriguez. And in 10th is Clive Burr. In 11th is Jared Crocious. If I'm messing up on your names, I apologize. Then we've got Adam Chambers in 12th. 13th is Doug Shears, 14th is John Dillon, 15th is Zach Filter, in 16th is Sam Filter, and in 17th is Brian LaFleur Jr., 18th is Jacob Rodriguez, 19th Arnold Columbia, 20th Jordan Hester, and 21st is Timmy Pacioli, 22nd Matt Nathan, Matt Burke runs in 23rd, 24th is Robert Band, 25th Martin Zakala, 26th is Ken Johnson, 27th is Geoff Kahutek, 28th is Noel Stiller, 29th is Alex Filter, 30th is Jamie Watson, 31st is Patrick Scroggins, and 32nd is Todd Nathan. Last car on the lead lap, last car on the racetrack. 10 cars have retired from the race after our first big wreck occurring on lap number 1. So as I mentioned before we ended up running down the way that they are on the leaderboard, 3 of the top 4 spots are held by DEI cars. Remember, Dale Earnhardt Incorporated brings a very good engine package here to Daytona, so obviously it's not a surprise to see them doing well here today, but all 3 of them are up there, so they'll be able to work together up at the front of the field when the green flag comes out. Teammates always important when you come to a restrictor plate track, and most importantly, whether it's a teammate or not, you have to have a drafting partner. So 10 cars are out of the race, leaves us 32 cars here to race the remaining 35 laps as the green flag is displayed. And Connor Breton thinks about going up to the high side, and now I think he'll think better of it as he now slides back in line in front of Corey Williams, Wes McCall. And he thinks about the outside, but now he's going to get ganged down low by Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. Matt LaFleur, Wes McCall, and Corey Williams. Oh, McCall gets turned there, comes back up the racetrack. Oh, and he turns his teammate! Corey Williams up into Connor Breton, and Breton is slammed the wall hard. And everybody scatters, and Matt Nathan and Patrick Scroggins are on pit road as well, but there's Breton. Oh, his teammate is involved, Noel Stiller, Jacob Rodriguez, Arnold Columbia is in it, and smoking badly is Geoff Kahutek. His day is obviously done. He can barely get that car started. Robert Bann, the M&M's Ford, all crunched up. Possible damage to Luke Marcheski. There's Corey Williams, who was running second at the time. And the car you can point the finger at would have to be the car from Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, the 15 car of Wes McCall. Turned his teammate, and Connor Breton went for quite a wild ride as well. Let's see why we are under the caution flag. Take a closer look at what occurred on the backstretch. Well, here was actually a wreck that occurred that we didn't even see, and I don't know if the caution came out for this one or for the other one, but this is Matt Nathan in the 22. He's got Robert Bann and Martin Zakala behind him. I think he gets turned somehow. Let's see. There's Zakala, makes a little contact with Robert Bann right there. Does Bann come up and tap the 22? Answer to that is yes, he does. Nathan getting turned by Robert Bann, and he goes into a four-wheel slide. Now here's where the problem is. This is why we saw Matt Nathan and Patrick Scroggins on pit road. You see the roof flaps go up on the 22, trying to slow that race car down. It's going to be to no avail. Here he comes. Patrick Scroggins comes in, nowhere to go. Takes and rips the whole right front wheel well off that race car. And wow, Jamie Watson just made it through, and so did Nathan's Bill Davis Racing teammate, Todd Nathan, just barely made it through as well. But that's the one wreck there. But then let's see what happens to Connor Breton and others further up. Well, let's rewind just a little. I thought we might be able to see it better. Okay, here we go. Wow, he almost turned both his teammates. Okay, so here it is. Right here. This is what we need. Ralph Green gets into Wes McCall here. Now, McCall, I don't know why he decided he had to drive his way back up on the racetrack, because he could have just ridden that apron down the backstretch, but he comes up, and a good save by Matt LaFleur, but look at this. Oh, man. Connor Breton, actually, the whole car was actually riding the safer barrier there for a moment. And here comes Luke Marcheski, gets some damage there. And then everybody comes piling in. Jacob Rodriguez. Oh, Breton flipping. Arnold Columbia gets collected. And you're going to see somewhere up here, I'm not sure where, but somehow Noel Stiller gets a piece of something. There it is, right there. Robert Bann and Noel Stiller T-boning Geoff Kahutek, who I think made contact with Jacob Rodriguez. We're going to have a lot of cars in the garage area after this one. Now the field just dwindling down bit by bit here in the Daytona 500. And then this is under the caution flag. I just noticed this. We were going to go back to green, but I just noticed this. There's Doug Shears. He comes up and he nails the back end of Martin Zakala. They're all trying to whoa up, apparently, and I don't know what's going on. Then you see Zakala gets into the back of Ken Johnson. Then coming into the right of your screen is Jamie Watson. He does the same thing to Doug Shears. But then here comes, I believe it's the 23 car of Todd Nathan. He'll be coming in right side of your screen. Here he comes. He's coming a lot faster than these other cars did. And look at this. Jacks up the 12. And he's got bad damage to his race car. And here comes Luke Marcheski. But he's able to miss it. But for some reason, Zakala, Watson, and Todd Nathan, I believe, have all gone back to the garage area as well. So we prepare to go back under the green flag with several cars out of this race. We can't really tally them all. But right now it is Matt LaFleur, Wes McCall, Ralph Green, Logan Wilson, and John Dillon's moved up into the top 5 as we get set to go back under the green flag. It is out, and we are back underway. Matt LaFleur with a pretty good, sizable lead here. Everybody backed up there, trying to go 3 and 4 wide. as LaFleur still continues to lead. And here's Wes McCall. He's going to go into second. Logan Wilson battling there for third. Here comes Matthew Rodriguez out of nowhere. Rodriguez has been having a great season over in the Mobil 1 Cup Series in that very same ride, the National Guard 25. Oh! Wes McCall hits the wall just when we were talking about Matthew Rodriguez. He's involved. Everybody's sliding through the grass. They're coming back up the racetrack. Oh my goodness. Ken Johnson, Alex Filter, Luke Marcheski, Logan Wilson. I don't know if I can talk fast enough to say who was involved. Wes McCall, Doug Shears. Rodriguez, I think, made it through. Logan Wilson is smoking. Clive Bird damaged. Luke Marcheski's out of it. Alex Filter's caught on the apron, and the caution is out again. This happened up at the front. I think it was Logan Wilson and Wes McCall got together. Let's take a look and see what happened. Okay, let's see. Watch the yellow and orange cars up on the high side there. That's Wes McCall and Logan Wilson. Somehow there's some contact made. Oh, yeah. Well, McCall and Wilson, I don't know if one turned one or if one cut the other one off. But here they come down into Matthew Rodriguez. And there they go for a spin. Everybody's spinning there. Oh, Ralph Green up the racetrack. He gets into Jared Crocious. But I think they straighten it out. But here's the problem. Everybody's sliding. And then they start coming back up the racetrack. Wes McCall, one of them. And here he comes. Who's going to be there? Oh, Ken Johnson. And Luke Marcheski nails Ken Johnson. Filter nails Marcheski. And then Matt Berg, nowhere to go, makes some contact there too. And I think Brian LaFleur Jr., whoa! I think he made it through that. That was a great piece of driving by Brian LaFleur Jr. We got to go on board with him. We got to see if he actually made it through there. I think he did, and that was incredible. Brian LaFleur Jr. is running 10th at this moment. And you see the wreck ahead of him. Does he make it through? But, you know, he got a little bit of the wall, but look at this. Look at him maneuver his way through traffic. Wow. That was actually a really great save by Brian LaFleur Jr. And now we are on lap 14 of 40. Easiest thing to do after these pit stops and everything, just to show you where everybody is running on the racetrack rather than tell you who's in the garage area. We might do that in just a moment, but let's show you where everyone is running. Matt LaFleur, his DEI teammates, they're all gone. Now he's got to fend off Roush, who's got the next three spots. Zach Filter in second. Jeff Brakeman in third, and Sam Filter in fourth. All those cars out of Roush Fenway Racing. Then in fifth right now is Jordan Hester. Sixth is Matthew Rodriguez. Brian LaFleur Jr., another entry from Roush Fenway, running in the top 10. Remember, we saw him make that great save. He is seventh. Eighth is Adam Chambers. Ninth is Matt Berg. And in 10th is Jared Crocious. In 11th is Ralph Green. 12th is Timmy Pacioli. 13th is John Dillon. And 14th is Clive Burr. That's it. Those are the cars that are on the racetrack. Let's take a look and see who's out. Looks like the 31 car of Logan Wilson is out. Ken Johnson is out. Alex Filter. Wes McCall. Luke Marcheski. Doug Shears. Martin Zakala. Also the 12 of Jamie Watson. The 23 car of Todd Nathan. As we look further down, there you see also out of the race Corey Williams, Robert Bann, Noel Stiller, Arnold Columbia, Connor Breton, Patrick Scroggins, Jacob Rodriguez. The 22 car of Matt Nathan is out. He'll get credited for 31st. Out of the race in 32nd, Geoff Kahutek. We've also got Harley LeVake. He's out of the race. And all the rest of these cars also out of the race. The 88 car of Stephen Dillon, the 42 of Philip Stiller, Michael Harvey in the 36, Mark Edwards, also Joseph Lambert in the 14, Patrick Murphy in the 83 will get credited for 39th. 40th is going to be Christian James. 41st is going to be James McLeod, and 42nd is going to be Jacob Lawler. So you see the lights are out on the pace car, and I believe I said there were 12 cars on the racetrack? 14. Clive Burr is the last car in 14th. And we have not even reached halfway. This is going to be a really small field to decide this race. But you got to be impressed with Roush Fenway Racing. Alex Filter, the 5th entry for Roush Fenway Racing. He is out of this race. He was just caught up in that last wreck. But you got Zach Filter there in 2nd. You've got Jeff Brakeman in 3rd. And you've got Sam Filter in 4th. And Brian LaFleur Jr. in 7th. A great showing right now by the cars from Roush Fenway Racing. And also, I'm seeing some new faces up there in the top 10. Adam Chambers in the Best Buy Chevrolet. We haven't talked about him at all today. He's running very nicely in 8th. Also, Jordan Hester in the 07 car from Richard Childress Racing. He's doing a great job right now in 5th and running in the 9th position, the 20 Toyota of Matt Berg. Pace car peels off. We'll get set to go back to green flag racing. We'll see if maybe we can have a green flag run, or if we'll go under the caution again. Green flag is in the air. Will the Roush Fenway Racing cars be able to work together to get past Matt LaFleur, who has been out in front ever since this race started? Here's Zach Filter. It's as if he's going to try and make a move, but instead, he's going to get challenged on the high side by Jeff Brakeman. Brakeman, wow, did he get a run the high side or one? He's doing it all by himself. He passes Zach Filter on the high side all by himself without a drafting partner. If that car has that much horsepower by itself, just think what it's going to be with someone pushed up right behind him. Wow. Oh, not again. We got another wreck. Well, we don't have a wreck. John Dillon just scraped the wall, but here comes Jeff Brakeman on the charge. He's going to the point. And the Roush Fenway teammates, Sam Filter and Zach Filter, they are hooked up back there, trying to make their way up as well, as Jeff Brakeman leads the Daytona 500. Matt LaFleur back in 2nd. Now Roush Fenway hooking up again. Zach Filter, Sam Filter, Brian LaFleur Jr., they're all together there for Roush Fenway, moving up into the top 5. And here comes the 8 car of Matt LaFleur, right up on the back bumper of Jeff Brakeman, pushing him. Is he going to make a move here on the backstretch? He's got him all to himself. Here he comes to the inside. Nothing Brakeman can do. He can just stay up there on the high side and hope his teammates can come up and help him. Matt LaFleur all by himself, having to forge on without any teammates. Patrick Scroggins is out of this race. Lambert is out of this race. So is Corey Williams. So is Wes McCall. He's having to trudge on by himself in the Budweiser Chevrolet. And here comes Brian LaFleur Jr. and Adam Chambers is coming up to the front as well. Chambers back there in a 3-wide battle with Sam Filter and Matthew Rodriguez. That's for 4th. Here's Brian LaFleur Jr. He's coming right up on his teammate's back bumper. Roush Fenway hooked up again in a 2-car draft. And here comes the Jeff Brakeman machine down to the inside with drafting help from who else? A Roush Fenway teammate, Brian LaFleur Jr. going to help push his teammate to the front. I'll tell you what, Roush Fenway Racing has an ace in the hole right now, having 4 race cars in the top 10. And it's Roush Fenway 1, 2, Brakeman and LaFleur Jr. out in front. Matt Filter back in 3rd. Adam Chambers crosses the line in 4th. And how about Zach Filter? He's there. And Timmy Pacioli, where did he come from? Timmy Pacioli, the only Dodge I'm seeing up here in this race right now, in this battle for the lead. That Blue Deuce making his way up, battling now double wide for the 5th position with Zach Filter. It looks like the cars that are in this battle to win this race right now are Jeff Brakeman, Brian LaFleur Jr., Christian Janes, Adam Chambers, Matt LaFleur, Zach Filter, Sam Filter, Timmy Pacioli, and Matthew Rodriguez. They seem to be the ones that are up there to try and win this race. Cars of Clive Bird, John Dillon that we saw further back, they are damaged race cars, and they're running back in the pack all by themselves. As a matter of fact, why don't we take a look back there and see where those guys are running. John Dillon, I know, is in that group. He's all by himself. And so is Jared Crocious, all by himself. He's off the pace. Jordan Hester is all by himself, off the pace. Matt Berg, he's by himself. Clive Burr is by himself, and I think somebody just went through the grass. I don't know who, but I saw some dust kicked up there, and here comes Matt LaFleur back for the lead. Don't know who it was that went down through the grass area, but whoever it was, they saved it, and we're still racing. Matt LaFleur back to the point. Jeff Brakeman with no teammates really to help him out right now, as there's a good double wide back there for the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th positions. Pacioli, LaFleur Jr., Adam Chambers, Matthew Rodriguez, they're all in that. And Brakeman now is going to get some drafting help. Here comes forms of Brian LaFleur Jr. Here's LaFleur Jr., though. He's going to try and go down low, get out of that outside line. He's going to go beneath his teammate, and he's going to slide with the Matt LaFleur machine down into the 2nd position. And you notice the two cars battling back there, the Best Buy Chevrolet and the National Guard Chevrolet of Matthew Rodriguez, Adam Chambers. They get their engines from Hendrick Motorsports, so they can be considered teammates here in this race. We have passed halfway, and it is Matt LaFleur still out in front. A good battle for second between teammates. Down low, Brian LaFleur Jr., up high, Jeff Brakeman. Then another battle between unofficial teammates. Adam Chambers down low and Matthew Rodriguez up high. And then some other drivers peeking their way in. Timmy Pacioli, Zach Filter, and riding back there tail end of this big pack of about, I'd say, 8 race cars is Sam Filter. He's actually lost the pack a little bit there. And here comes Jeff Brakeman back on the charge. Right up on the back bumper of the Budweiser Chevrolet. Will he put a move? The answer to that is no. Instead, he decides to help push the Chevrolet down across the tri-oval. And his teammate, Brian LaFleur Jr., with a trunk full of Adam Chambers, is closing in there as well. 2 packs of 2 cars. Matt LaFleur and Jeff Brakeman together, with Adam Chambers pushing Brian LaFleur Jr. They've kind of broken away from everybody else. But Brakeman now is going to break out a line as he goes to the inside line. This is going to help both Brian LaFleur Jr. and Adam Chambers close in on these two. And you can visibly see that they are doing so, but it looks like possibly Brakeman was able to clear LaFleur, and so LaFleur was able to slide down right in front of Brian LaFleur Jr. But now Brian LaFleur Jr. says, okay, I'll let you in, but now I'm going to the inside, and he's going to try and take over second, but he couldn't make a move. Adam Chambers wasn't close enough to help give drafting help, and Matt LaFleur held off Brian LaFleur Jr., and now he's all over the back bumper of Jeff Brakeman again. He's going to go back to the inside, these two jostling that position back and forth. Things are super spread out here at Daytona. Brakeman up high, LaFleur's going to slide by down low. Now Brakeman's going to probably try and slide in line and get drafting help from his teammate. No, nothing doing. Brian LaFleur Jr. says, I'm going to go to the second position, but now he has to slide back behind his teammate. Everybody seems pretty content to ride single file, and my question is, are there any lap cars up ahead? There is Jared Crocious. He is right now hitting turn 4. And the rest of the race cars, the leaders, are on the backstretch. So they still have just about a whole half a racetrack to complete before they can even catch up to lap traffic to help that play into this race. But that's not saying that it won't play into this race, because we still have 15 laps of racing here to go as Jeff Brakeman, back to the point, Brian LaFleur Jr., he still cannot get drafting help. Brian LaFleur Jr. has a good car, a good handling race car. It's going wherever he wants it to, but he's not getting the drafting help down low. No help for that 99 is really killing his chances of making a momentum move on these front two, Jeff Brakeman and Matt LaFleur. The rest of the top 5, as it looks right now, are Brian LaFleur Jr., Adam Chambers, and Matthew Rodriguez. Timmy Pacioli, Zach Filter, and Sam Filter have kind of fallen off the pace, as back to the inside again comes the 8 car of Matt LaFleur. These two just swapping the position back and forth. Now Brian LaFleur Jr. has some cars lined up behind him. He may be able to make a move this time. Let's see if he can here at the tri-oval. He's got a big run, and he forces his way to the inside. That's what he needed to do. His teammate, Jeff Brakeman, tried to throw the block, and Brian LaFleur Jr. says, no, not this time. I'm going to take that inside line, and he's got a trunk full of Adam Chambers helping push him into that second position. So now Matt LaFleur has fended off one Roush Fenway car. Now he's got to fend off another one, and that'll be Brian LaFleur Jr., who is coming with the Hendrick engines right behind him, Adam Chambers in the 66, and Matthew Rodriguez in the 25. But not anymore. Matthew Rodriguez makes a 3-wide move down to the inside, and that, once again, is going to kill the momentum of Brian LaFleur Jr. Let's take a look through the field, see where everybody's running right now. Matt LaFleur is leading. There's Brian LaFleur Jr. He's about 2-3 car lengths behind Matt LaFleur. He's in second. In third right now is Matthew Rodriguez. Fourth is going to be Adam Chambers. And fifth is Jeff Brakeman. In sixth, riding around just waiting for an opportunity, is Timmy Pacioli. In seventh position right now is Zach Filter. Sam Filter running a long ways back all by himself. He is eighth. Ninth position right now is Clive Burr. In 10th position, actually it's a good battle for 10th right now. That's between Jordan Hester down low and Matt Berg up high. It looks like Hester's going to take the advantage there, as he's going to go down to the inside line. Then you got in 12th position John Dillon, and 13th is Jared Crocius. And I think lap traffic may be playing out here very shortly. Let's take a look. We're going to take a look at Jeffrey Crocius, and then we're going to see how far it is. Okay, they are right there at the Daytona sign. Let's see how long it is until we get to the car of our leader, Matt LaFleur. We're waiting, and there they are. So they are not too far behind. They are coming very quickly, and the laps are winding down to 10 to go. Lap cars, or actually not lap cars, but slower cars could play into this race as Brakeman goes back to the lead. Brian LaFleur Jr. now down to the inside. Will he make a move this time? He can this time. He's got the drafting help, and he is down low. Adam Chambers seems to be the only driver that will work with Brian LaFleur Jr. I don't know what it is, but LaFleur Jr. just cannot get the drafting help. Now here comes Matthew Rodriguez. He'll try and be the drafting help, as it's Brakeman, and then a battle for second between LaFleur Jr. down high and Matt LaFleur up high. Matt LaFleur up high and Brian LaFleur Jr. down low. And then it was a battle between Matthew Rodriguez and Adam Chambers, but now that has ended. Let's ride on board with the 6 car and see just how far away slower race cars are. You cannot visibly see any race cars that are slower up ahead, so they may not play anything into this race. We will only wait and see. Back to the inside again comes Matt LaFleur. These two keep battling it out lap after lap. You have to wonder what's going through the minds of Brian LaFleur Jr., Adam Chambers, Matthew Rodriguez, Timmy Pacioli, guys who are just hanging there waiting. Are they just biding their time, just riding around, or do they not really have anything for the 8 and the 6? We are nearing 10 laps to go. Actually, we are past 10 laps to go. We have 9 laps to go now. And here's Brian LaFleur Jr. right up here. Here we go. Here's a good 3-car draft. Who's going to make the move, though? It's going to be Brian LaFleur Jr. Is anybody going to come downstairs with him? Yes, it looks like Adam Chambers will come down and offer drafting help. But then again, maybe not. Okay, now he is going to come down. But at first, he was not coming down and offering any help. Jeff Brakeman now going to go from 2nd to 5th very quickly. And look at Chambers right up on the back bumper of Brian LaFleur Jr. Shoving him, and Chambers now going to go to the inside. But where's his drafting help coming from? It's 3 wide for 2nd, but there's nowhere for anybody to be able to go because they don't have a drafting partner. And now Matthew Rodriguez is going to slide back here behind Jeff Brakeman. This is a good battle back here. Let's look at this. This is a good battle. 4 cars battling it out for the 2nd position right now. Matt LaFleur's got to be loving this. Brakeman up high. LaFleur Jr. down low. Now LaFleur Jr. says, okay, I'll go back behind you. But now Matthew Rodriguez thinks about inside and once again cannot do it. Now he's up on the back bumper doing a 2-car draft with Brian LaFleur Jr. And here comes Jeff Brakeman back up onto the back bumper again of Matt LaFleur, and he puts a move. Brakeman and Matt LaFleur just keep exchanging the lead back and forth. It's like nobody else is able to do anything with them. Sorry about the thing getting a little choppy there. We'll see if we can straighten it out here. As now, Matt LaFleur slides back into second. Jeff Brakeman is there in the lead. Matthew Rodriguez slides into third. Fourth now, there we go, is Brian LaFleur Jr. Here comes Matt LaFleur back to the inside. Now, the question remains, oh boy, they are closing in a hurry now, folks. Slower cars are definitely going to play into this race. We are nearing 5 laps to go, but they've got about maybe 20 car lengths before they reach these slower cars. Who is going to have those cars play into their advantage? Or will we end up having a wreck and have a green-white checkered? I don't know. This is going to be very interesting. Different scenarios going to be playing out here, and it's all happening here exclusively at Daytona. In the Daytona 500, Jeff Brakeman back to the inside. They still continue to swap that lead around. Brakeman has the inside line. Matt LaFleur is stuck up high. Meanwhile, Brian LaFleur Jr., Adam Chambers, and Matthew Rodriguez continue to run back there in third, fourth, and fifth. Now they're coming up on the lap cars. Here we go. Let's see what's going to happen. I don't know why I keep calling them lap cars. They are slower cars, and there are 4 of them. This is going to be really tough for all these leaders to get by 4 race cars. This is going to be big, folks. Glad you stuck around. You're going to be, because this is going to be an exciting finish. They're 3 wide up ahead of them. And here they come. Jeff Brakeman and Matt LaFleur ready to make their way through slower traffic. And there's, Jerry Crocious slows them down. Here comes Brian LaFleur Jr. out of nowhere. Down to the inside for second and for the lead. Now he's going to get slowed. Perhaps. Let's see. Oh my goodness, this is big. Will he be able to get to the inside? Matt LaFleur has the outside line. Here comes Brian LaFleur Jr. to the inside. He's to the inside of Crocious, and he's going to take over the top spot. But now his momentum's going to get killed here as Matt Berg moves down. Oh, contact between he and his teammate. Up the racetrack he goes, and he makes contact with Matt Berg, but he saves it. And a wreck further back. The 2 cars that were the most dominant. Brakeman and LaFleur are involved. No caution. Oh my goodness, here's Adam Chambers, here's Matthew Rodriguez, coming up on the Brian LaFleur Jr. machine, but he's got the lead. And he's moving in on John Dillon. Brian LaFleur Jr. is the leader. Now he's going to try and make the pass here on John Dillon. Trying to get up there to catch him are the Hendrick cars of Matthew Rodriguez and Adam Chambers. Brian LaFleur Jr. pushing John Dillon. Dillon must be pretty well up to speed, but here comes Matthew Rodriguez with a head of steam. No caution for that wreck that involved the 2 most dominant cars all day long, Matthew Rodriguez and Jeff Brakeman. Here comes Matthew Rodriguez trying to get alongside. Will he make a move? No, he can't. He's right up on the back bumper of Brian LaFleur Jr. LaFleur Jr. going to try and make the move on John Dillon, but cannot do it. 2 laps to go. It's nose to tail. Rodriguez. LaFleur Jr. Oh, he gets into John Dillon, but they save it. He now has to try and hold off the 25 car, but here comes the 25 of Matthew Rodriguez. Right up on the back bumper. Adam Chambers starting to close in as well. Here comes Matthew Rodriguez to the inside. He makes a move down in turn 3, and he's going to go to the front. He's got the slower car of John Dillon up ahead of him. Now he puts a move to the inside of Dillon. Dillon, though, up high. At the stripe, who leads this lap? It's Matthew Rodriguez by a fender. Oh my goodness, the drafting, though, is up high. Now here comes Adam Chambers into the mix. Chambers all over the back bumper, Matthew Rodriguez. It's 3 cars that are going to decide this race. Matthew Rodriguez, Adam Chambers, and Brian LaFleur Jr. Who's going to win it? Oh, contact between Brian LaFleur Jr. and John Dillon. They almost collected Adam Chambers, but Matthew Rodriguez is still out in front. Chambers, though, going to try and close in. Can Chambers close in? When they come down, it will be the white flag displayed. Chambers going to try and close in. As the white flag is displayed for Matthew Rodriguez, here we go. It's Rodriguez, Chambers, and LaFleur Jr. now passing John Dillon. It's going to be those 3 to decide it all. Here we go. Matthew Rodriguez has about a 2-car length advantage over Adam Chambers, but Brian LaFleur Jr. is also closing in. Trying to pick up the draft is Adam Chambers. Chambers now is closing in, about a car length off the back bumper of his teammate. Will he put a move here in turn 3? The answer to that is no. Here comes Brian LaFleur Jr., but Adam Chambers throws the block. Nose to tail, the front 3. This is for the win of the Daytona 500. Matthew Rodriguez, Adam Chambers, Brian LaFleur Jr. Here comes Chambers. Will he put a move? He now swings to the inside, down to the stripe. Who's going to win it? Chambers, Rodriguez, at the stripe. It is Matthew Rodriguez. Holy cow! What a finish! What a race! I'm out of breath. Matthew Rodriguez hangs on to win over Adam Chambers. Brian LaFleur Jr. finishes in the 3rd position. And let's see who finishes in 4th. It's going to be Timmy Pacioli in 4th, and Matt LaFleur will finish in the 5th position. 6th is going to be Jeff Brakeman. 7th, Zach Filter. 8th position will be Sam Filter. 9th will be Clive Burr. And I believe in 10th is John Dillon, who finishes 1 lap down. But what a finish. Holy cow, I cannot believe the finish that was just done there. Let's take a look at the finishing order. There you take a look at it. 29 1/1000ths of a second. The win. That of Matthew Rodriguez over Adam Chambers. We'll show you the rest of the finishing order here. Everybody else that you see here finishing out of the race. And now, let's show you the standings as they are after Daytona. Matthew Rodriguez with the win. And here's a look at the standings. Great points day for Roush Fenway. And a great points day for Hendrick Motorsports. Hendrick Motorsports engines finishing 1-2 here today. Here's the rest of the finishing order for the standings. A lot of these drivers ended up behind the wall. I believe only a total, if I can look here, I believe only a total of 13 race cars finished this race. So congratulations to Matthew Rodriguez. He wins in an amazing fashion here at Daytona in the Daytona 500. Hope that you enjoyed today's race. Hope you'll tune in next time when we head to California Speedway. For everybody here in the NSCRA Studios booth, I'm Seth Cole. Hope you enjoyed the JRASCR Coca Cola Car of Tomorrow series here at Daytona. See you next time.